everybody and welcome to today's video. And in today's video we are discussing, well, we're actually milking the cows, but we're actually discussing what happened about a week ago. So if you didn't already know, Donald Trump visited Scotland. He actually owns 2, maybe 3 golf courses, I think, in Scotland. Interestingly, while I was doing a bit of research for this video, I looked up, it come up with a membership for one of those golf courses, and to join it's £3,000, and to become a member it's £15,000. So you're looking at 18 grand to just play a bit of golf, which I found quite interesting. But anyway, he did an interview with Starma, and I'm going to put a clip in of that interview because 2 things happened. One, he talks about the Mayor of London, about visiting London. You'll see that in a minute. And the other clip is actually more important and more relevant to farming, and it was about the inheritance tax on farmers and his view on it. And basically he's saying, in not so many words, that what Starma's doing is wrong, and you could tell he's making Sakia look very uncomfortable in the interview about what he's saying, and he's pretty much not saying a word. And hats off to Donald, because he is. I'm not the biggest Donald Trump fan, but he's one for standing with the farmers, and he points it out very clearly about the suicides and everything. But you'll see that, so I'll put it in now.
Will you visit London during the state visit?
I will. I'm not a fan of your mayor.
Why not?
I think he's done a terrible job, the mayor of London. But the nasty person, I think he's done. I think he's
a friend of mine, right?
No, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London. Yeah. There is no estate tax on farmers. So when a parent leaves their farm, because again, a lot of these farms, they don't make a lot of money, but it's a way of life, and they love their way of life, and they love that dirt. That dirt is the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. They love it. I mean, they're farmers. They love doing it. They don't know how to do anything else, but they don't want to do anything else. I speak to farmers. I say, would you like to live in my penthouse in Manhattan? It's the most beautiful. No, sir, I want this farm. Now, what happens is, I mean, we were losing a lot of people to suicide. They'd borrow money to pay the estate tax, and they were not able to pay it. And some banks are ruthless; they wouldn't do anything, and they would end up committing suicide. We have totally ended the estate tax in those situations.
I'm so grateful for what you said yesterday about the importance of farming, because we have changed inheritance tax, death taxes.
Well, farmers are so important. So farmers are, they liked what I said on a couple of things yesterday. They liked what I said for the farm. I'm a big farmer person. I love the farmers. I think they're great. And we have to steer the laws so the farmers don't get hurt in our country and in their country.
Right, so hopefully you've seen that them little clips of the interview with Donald and Starma. Now, basically what Trump is saying in them clips is that in America they don't have inheritance tax for farmers because of the suicide rates and all that, the stress that farmers are under. So it's not abolished. It's not. You don't tax farmers over there like they do. Well, like they're doing over here now. So Starma looks very uncomfortable in that meeting, being told that by Donald. Now, it's very good to just point out right now that actually a couple months ago that Starma did a trade deal with America, which a lot of farmers, like myself, are not best pleased about. One of the things in that trade deal is, well, the thing that's upsetting farmers, like myself, is the fact that Donald Trump is sending 13,000 tons of American beef over here to Great Britain, to the UK, on an annual basis. So 13,000 tons of American beef is ending up on our plates. Now the reason why it's upsetting farmers, well, British farmers, is because we have I'm not having a go at American farmers or anything like that in this video. These are welfare standards over here are a lot higher, and a lot of things that American farmers can do, which is like use growth hormones and whatever in their beef, we're not allowed to do at all. So their running costs are probably going to be a bit lower than ours. Well, they will be. But in return, our beef should be slightly better quality, presumably. But I've been trying to do a bit of research to where this 13,000 tonnes American beef is going to end up, and it's going to end up, well, one source says it's going to end up in schools and hospitals. So I don't think I want to be eating beef in a hospital anytime soon. Well, interestingly enough, there is I found some information out about Sir Keir Starmer. So everyone knows the Jimmy Savile scandal, but he was interviewed by Sussex police in 2009, and in 2009 the Sussex police had there were 3 claims of sexual child abuse in girls under the age of 16. They interviewed Jimmy Savile. They put the information forward to the Crown's prosecution service, and they dismissed it. Said there was insufficient evidence. The head of the Crown's prosecution service dismissed it. The head of Crown's prosecution service at the time was Sir Keir Starmer. Says a lot about someone, that, doesn't it? Now, the one thing that I just can't get my head around is, what I just do not understand is, you've got 3 individual cases of child sex abuse in children under the age of, and 3 girls under the age of 16, and yet the head of the Crown Prosecution Service deems it insufficient evidence on all 3 cases. Anyway, it's enough about that. We're not talking about that. That's a whole different subject, but it just baffles my brain that the person behind that claim, that claims there was insufficient evidence, is now running our country. I should also point out that actually this government, well, the current government, the Labour government, led by Sir Keir Starmer, has already done so many U-turns on things that they set out in the autumn budget, but the one thing they haven't done a U-turn on is the inheritance tax on farmers. Now, they are now in. They've done a U-turn on one of the main things is the winter fuel allowance for old people. So they took it away off them because they said they needed the money. But now they say they've done a U-turn, they're giving it them back. But it's very important to point out that actually Sir Keir Starmer and the Labour government have now got a big black hole in their budget because they now took the money off people, but they're now giving it back to the previous government as a scapegoat. So they're blaming the Conservative government for failings and wrongdoings on their actual own behalf. So entering this country illegally on small boats. They're blaming the previous government for that. That's one thing that's been in the news lately. Even though since Sir Keir Starmer has been in power, actually the amount of people coming across in small boats has gone up. So how can you blame the previous government for that? I mean, I read somewhere, or I've seen somewhere, where it says up till now, 25,000 people have come across the channel on small boats illegally. So, and they're coming over here because they know that if they come over here, they can claim a shitload of benefits and have everything paid for. They can be put up in a 4-star hotel at the taxpayer's expense, right? And then be given £50 a week in spending money and have all their food given to them free of charge and be entitled to free healthcare on the NHS and free dental care across the NHS. So the total cost to the taxpayer is mind-blowing. All these people are put up in 4-star hotels just because they've done something illegally, which has convicted rapist in their country that they've come from. We don't know that, and we're looking after them like they're anything. And one thing I was told recently is if I went into a hospital myself, British citizen, and one of these illegal immigrants went into hospital, legally the NHS has to see them before me, before any of us, because they can pull the card out and say you've been racist and you've discriminated me. Now that's just wrongdoing on our own. Our own government is failing us on that point. And it is already safe to say that Keir Starmer has actually already got blood on his hands, because actually there has already been a farmer that has taken his own life because of the inheritance tax carry on, all because he didn't want to burden his own family with having to pay an inheritance tax of so many million just because he dies. Right, so it baffles me, right, this. So when you're alive, you're paying taxes, you pay income tax, you pay national insurance, you pay council tax, you pay, all these taxes are going out of your income. You pay VAT, that's another one. So the government's taking all this money off working people and they're putting it into pot, which they use to spend on like things like the NHS, on looking after old people, the winter fuel allowance, all that, dental care, all that is just taken care of, and that's what they should be using the money for. But instead, they're taking that money off us, giving it to these illegal immigrants that have crossed on the English Channel, putting them up in 4-star hotels at our expense of our tax money, giving them free NHS, free food, £50 a week spending money, and they're just, and then when you die, this is the thing, when you die, then your family has to pay a tax on you dying. You can't actually afford to die. And I've said this before, we've done many videos about this before, and farmers haven't stopped fighting for this. But like I say, he's already got blood on his hands, Sir Keir Starmer. One farmer's already taken his own life because the inheritance tax hasn't come in yet. That's one big thing I should make very clear. So it hasn't come in until, I think it's April next year. So less than a year away. And so if you died before April next year, you'll be alright. You don't have to pay any inheritance tax. But if you die after, I think it's the 1st of April next year, you've got a big death tax to pay, shall we say. But like I keep saying, they use the previous government as a scapegoat for all this. But it's not the previous government's fault. Net immigration and all these migrants are coming across here because have gone up since the current government's come into power, and they blame the previous government for that. So it's just baffling me. The thing I should point out is that, okay, they say, well, we'll give your family, you know, if you die, we'll give your family 10 years to pay off the inheritance tax, and they'll give you like a 20% discount on it. I know it baffles me. Where's this 20% discount come from? So they'll give it over 10 years, but if it's £1 million over 10 years, okay, take 20% off it, it'd be 800,000. If you then split that across 10 years, that's still £80,000 a year that you've got to magically get out of nowhere. Where does he expect it to come from? Because farming doesn't pay to have £80,000 sat in a bank account that you're not using. You know what I mean? It's just, you don't scrape the barrel. So at the end of the day, you've got farmers out there, like the one that's already committed suicide, thinking, you know, it's just easier to die now because I won't be a burden on my family. And it's sad to think that that's actually the case. And this is why the importance of what Donald Trump said last week matters, because Sir Keir Starmer was sat right next to him when he said it, and he didn't even batter a eyelid. He would have been sweating. And he's U-turned on nearly everything else. He's got a big black hole in his budget, which he's then blaming again on the previous government. But the one thing he hasn't U-turned on is the inheritance tax on farmers. Now, all we can hope is, if he doesn't back down, which he hasn't done, he's been in power now for over 12 months. So he's been running the country for 12 months now. If he doesn't back down, with all farmers are relying on now, is that he's making a right shit job, basically, on running this country. No one's going to vote him in again. He's not going to win the votes of any farmers. I'll be very, very surprised if any farmer votes for him again. The next government that comes in, whether it be Conservative or Reform or any of the other parties, they back down with this inheritance tax. They scrap it immediately as they come in. And that'll be the big thing coming in. Like, he's been in power for a year, so he's got 4 more years of this. I'll say, we'll call it hell that he's running the country. He's running it down the pan, basically. He's got to magically find all this money from somewhere that is lost from U-turns in his previous budget. So he's going to find all this money. He's doing a right bad job of running this country. No one, hopefully, will vote for him ever again. And another party will come in, and the other parties are been quite clear to farmers that they would scrap the inheritance tax. Now, politicians are renowned for lying to people. Sir Keir Starmer's probably up there in the top 2. You know, he's probably top of the leaderboard is Sir Keir Starmer for that on that subject. But hopefully they don't lie to us, and they will promise in their campaigns running up to the next general election, which will be in about 4 years' time, because I can't see Sir Keir Starmer's going to throw the towel in and admit he's done wrong on his own accord, unless he gets a vote of no confidence from all these other MPs. That all the other parties will say, look, will you vote us in, we'll scrap the inheritance tax, amongst other things, in the run to their campaigns for being next Prime Minister, next Prime Minister or running this country, and hopefully they would, and that would be an end to the matter, and us farmers can have the weight taken off our chest. But that's not happening yet. But yeah, hopefully that sums up views on politics, because we're not done a politics video for a bit. But that's my view on politics, and that's a brilliant way of the YouTube, of me doing YouTube. I can get my own opinion across, and I think it's just worth sharing for anyone that's watching this channel and hasn't already seen the clips of Donald Trump and what he said about the inheritance tax, which is very worthwhile him saying. It was very appreciated by farmers. I think there was a clip somewhere. If I put it in, I'll put it in. If I find it, I'll put it in, rather, of what someone interviewed him and said, you know, farmers are very appreciative for what you said yesterday about whatever, about the inheritance tax. British farmers are with you on that one. Really appreciate what you're saying. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave the video here because you've probably heard enough of me waffling on right now. And if you dig too deep into politics, you can end up getting yourself into a mental state where it affects your mental health, because it's that messed up, shall we say. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. A little update on politics, on my view on politics, an average farmer's view on politics, shall we say. And if you've liked it, please give a thumbs up, subscribe below, and I'll see you all in my next one. I'll see you. Bye. Another big thing is, though, I'll just point out, is one of Labour's slogans is that they're here for the working people and here for the many, not the few. Right? They're really not here for the working people. If they were, they wouldn't be taxing the working people as hard as they are. And 2, they won't be trying to ruin family businesses at the end of the day.